Robert, who's 12, Betty, Samuel, Alice, and Vanessa. Their story's pretty intense because Robert's 12, and I have a daughter that's about that age, a little younger, and Robert was having to care for his brothers and sisters, and I don't know why, but I guess it's too intense here, you know? It's overwhelming to me to think that these 5 kids were living by themselves, but the lifestyle here is so different than it is where we're from, and so I think life is pretty intense. And so I can't really think bad about their parents for abandoning them, but they did abandon them. I think it was just too much to try and care for 5 kids. They didn't have any money. But they left these kids and they actually locked them in this house to die. And but these kids are fighters, and so Robert would go and work at a factory and try and get money. And Betty, who I don't know how old she is exactly, maybe she's 10, was like the mom of the house. And then you've got Samuel, who's about 8, and then you've got Alice, who's about 5 or 6, and then you've got Vanessa, who's 3. And so a 10-year-old taking care of these other kids, and so she would fix dinner for them, and you know, they would just live on water sometimes because they didn't have anything. And so when you look at these kids, first off, you wouldn't think, oh, well, they're abandoned and they're living in a little mud hut by themselves, because they just had this joy on their face. It just doesn't make sense. But Mike went down to find out where they were living and to see what their circumstance was like. And when he walked into that place, it was just, there was rat droppings everywhere. It was just teeny tiny. You wouldn't put your dog in that place. And these kids were living there together. The older ones would actually come to our school during the day, and they'd leave Vanessa, the 3-year-old, home by herself. And it's not safe in these villages. I mean, kids are being abused sexually and just any other way, becoming slaves. And so these kids are fighters, though. You know, just hearing Robert's story for me just compels me to know that if this little 12-year-old can't give up on life and he's going to take care of his brothers and sisters, well then, you know, we've got to do something too, you know. So that's kind of the story of those guys. And so now they're in Hope Children's Home, and they are so excited to be here and so thankful, and they're gonna do something with their life because they've got that drive and that thing that's just naturally put in them. And so I'm excited because we're getting behind them and we're helping them. You know, we're going to do what we can to help them do what they're supposed to be doing in their life. So that's the story about Robert. So that's good.